Department J is now in session. The Honorable Dee Butler presiding.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. We were waiting for
Defendant once I received notice that he wasn't here, so we'll go on the record regarding that matter first. On the record. Okay, everyone is here on D. Appearances, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. James Jimmerson, bar number 12599, on behalf of plaintiff. She is also on my right here in court today, and from our office, Andrew Pastor is on Zoom, Judge.
Okay, perfect.
Tim Treffinger, bar number 12877, on behalf of Mr. who is not present.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Who else do we have in the courtroom today?
We have Mr. father and very close friend, and we have here Amanda Fisher from our, Amanda Kahn from our office, Judge.
Okay, well, you may be seated, Ms. Counsels, we can start with the obvious. Mr. Treffinger, regarding your client and his non-appearance so far.
And I'm surprised he's not here, Judge. I did speak to him last week for almost 2 hours on the phone late in the week. I have not been able to raise him today. Obviously, my concern with the number of contempt counts here and the potential time that he could be facing from those counts, I do believe that he should be here for these proceedings. My concern, obviously, is in dealing with cases like this, whether this is a voluntary absence or not. I don't have enough information to comment on that at this point, but my understanding as of late last week was he was ready and prepared to proceed. I know he had been traveling. I had heard through counsel that he had some medical issues in the past couple of months, but I don't have anything more solid for you than that, Judge. I don't want to make presuppositions, especially with the amount of contempt sanctions that this client's potentially looking at this time.
So what will be your request then, counsel?
The only thing I can do at this point, I believe, is move to continue so I can find out what's going on with my client and make a record of that, because I just don't have facts available to me to effectively argue what's happening here at the moment.
When was the last contact you've had?
That is not him, sorry. That was on Friday, Judge.
It's past Friday. And of course, he knows that we moved courtrooms and
Correct.
all the information. Okay, thank you, counsel. Mr. Jimmerson.
We would oppose any such continuance, Your Honor. As the court knows, the court gave us time in October of last year to continue and finish this evidentiary hearing due to Mr. Jeffrey's own actions. It wasn't through his attorney, it was with his own filings. He was successful in having the court effectively stay the matter pending a decision by Judge Weiss, who decided against Mr. and then this court set us on the earliest dates the court had. So this is now the next opportunity for him to attempt to avoid having to show up to court, and especially when we don't have any word from anyone, right? It's not just, no word from him. We don't have any word from family members. We don't have any word from anyone else as to why he wouldn't be here in court. We're asking the court to be able to move forward, Judge. There's an order to show cause, and that order commands his appearance here today.
Thank you, counsel. I understand the frustration and the prejudice to your client, potentially Mr. Jimmerson. I know you prepared today, you all are here, and we don't have Mr. I am concerned though, noting the possible contempt here and possible likely requests for fees, sanctions. We were set for 1:30, it's now 2 o'clock. This is what I want to do. Because I do not know if there was an emergency or something that happened today, I can tell you all I had my staff check. No one has reached out to the court about any delays in getting here. Counsel, well, you said you haven't received anything as well. Because we have tomorrow set, I will grant the continuance as far as today's date, and we will go tomorrow. But tomorrow we will have to proceed, and then of course we'll need to find additional time, which luckily, because we only have a few remaining domestic cases left, we do have available dates within the next 60 days. But if your client is not here tomorrow, Council, I'll make a record. I am going to allow Mr. Jimmerson to, of course, address any requests for fees and or sanctions today, which I'm inclined to grant, everyone having to be present and your client is not. And then we'll have to proceed tomorrow in your client's absence.
And just so I'm clear, Judge, at that time, they'll make a finding that he's voluntarily absented himself, because there's a clear statute where unless it's voluntary, we can't proceed forward on what amounts to a criminal case.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we will address all of that tomorrow and see how far we can go. There's other pending matters as far as decisions and requests that were technically before we spoke, were not decided. So we'll see if we can start with anything else. But the hope is between today and 1:30 tomorrow, you find out what's going on with your client. I'm only doing this to be clear, is because of course, life happens. We had other situations where it was a true emergency, an accident. We find out by the end of the day or the next day, but if it's not that, we'll have to proceed. And of course, counsel, you'll be able to make a full record. And if that means proceeding with everything else first, because you have not had contact, then we'll have to have that discussion. The hope is that you at least have contact with your client and figure it out, so you have time to decide how you're going to proceed forward, counsel.
I appreciate that.
I know it puts you in a poor position. Mr. Jimmerson, anything further from you?
Yes, Your Honor. I have two things, Your Honor. One, we would like, if possible, have the oral argument concerning that separate motion practice that is not necessarily part of the contempt proceeding today. But also, Your Honor, we would respectfully request, or three things. Respectfully request that perhaps we put on Ms. and continue with Ms. shows up tomorrow, to give us an opportunity to save some of this time. I understand the potential criminal issues are probably a complicating factor here, Your Honor, with the confrontation clause, but I'm making the request anyway. Finally, Your Honor, we must have an award of fees. I mean, as a matter of course, a request for continuance, even in a, where there would be good cause for a continuance, you'd still get an award of fees, because ultimately you have a party that is prejudiced, and Ms. has certainly been prejudiced, not just this time, but also back in October as well. And that was part of our request for attorney's fees, as part of our prior motion practice that had been reserved for today as well. So we certainly would ask the court to award us the appropriate attorney's fees and costs due to Mr. actions, in this case, omissions.
Okay, any response, Mr. Treffinger?
My only issue is I don't know if this absence is voluntary or not. Certainly if he's here and it's not directly a voluntary act, some fees I know can be awarded, but I don't know if the court would be inclined to simply grant all fees. God forbid he was in a car accident or something of the nature of why he can't be here. That would be my concern with that request at this time. I don't believe it's appropriate to say, as a matter of course, just because a continuance is issued, fees are issued, because those are two separate issues and two separate standards. But it's hard, again, I'm arguing from a bit of a factual vacuum. Obviously, I'm opposed to putting on a witness about my client here. That does prejudice him and my ability to defend him and what equates to a criminal action. There is a confrontation clause issue. Your Honor has not found him voluntarily absent at this point, so proceeding that with a witness would be completely inappropriate. Pursuant to statute, it would result in immediate reversal of whatever happens here, which would just waste even more time. So I will submit it based on what I know, which is very little, unfortunately.
Okay. And of course, I cannot make that finding, nor would I today, that he voluntarily absent today. As I said, I'm inclined to grant fees. I would still need a memorandum. Counsel, for your time and preparation for today's hearing. I will not start taking testimony until at least tomorrow at 1:30, giving counsel, because this isn't his fault either, know what happened between Friday and today. Giving counsel the opportunity to at least reach his client, and we can address all of this tomorrow. And again, to families, everyone who is here, we also have, I didn't know, hello, we have media here today. If you would please state your name and appearance, sir.
Daniel Downs, our Nevada Judges.
Thank you. So a lot of people here today. Thank you, Helen, filling in, because we always need a domestic clerk to come in and fill in for us. So it has, of course, it has an impact on everyone that's here today for your client not to be here. So, of course, for Ms. regarding fees, we'll hear more argument if necessary on that. Mr. Jimmerson, I mean, I typically, when this happens, grant fees to the other side, represented by counsel, because it's a waste of our day. And we did have this date set, these two half days for today and tomorrow with plenty of notice. And this matter was pushed back. We were supposed to be heard, I believe in the summer. Then there's a reassignment here. Clearly, I'm in juvenile delinquency now. I agreed to keep all the cases as I believe I should, where we started, we opened evidence. So then we had to move the date and we had other motions. Those matters were handled. And so, yes, I understand the frustration here, but knowing that we're dealing with contempt issues, I have to give the opportunity to appear and to contact counsel so I can make particular findings. My thought is we'll stop for today, noting his non-appearance. We will start tomorrow, hopefully with him here. If not, we'll have to proceed with the other matters that do not involve contempt and see where we go. So can we get a ruling on those? We handled the passport by order outside of court. We'll start with whatever urgent issues there may be tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. Okay, Mr. Treffinger, if you could please reach out by email, including Mr. Jimmerson, and let us know if you've heard from your client. I mean, whether that's today, tomorrow morning, so we at least have a heads up on what to expect.
The second I hear from him, Judge, I will copy all parties and the court.
Okay. So that will conclude today's hearing. And then tomorrow, seeing where we get and how far we get tomorrow, we will talk about next available dates, if that's necessary. Clearly, if we're proceeding without Mr. we'll see regarding time.
And Your Honor, I want to make one record here.
Of course.
We brought Amanda Kahn here because she's a notary, and we were hoping perhaps to get Mr. on those passport papers. And his absence is certainly one in which, in addition to the rest of it, is something that's further inconvenience. Because ultimately, that's not a financial matter. There's no excuse for him not cooperating with Ms. to renew this minor child's passport. And as a result, we're once again, further delayed in that regard. And he is finding a way to frustrate, the wheels of justice, quite significantly at this point in time. So I'm attempting to convey to the court as calmly as possible the frustration that this is, certainly wreaked upon my client and our office. But we'll look forward to appearing tomorrow and proceeding.
I believe, and my law clerk just sent a message as well, that the previous passport order allows signature by clerk of the court.
It did, Your Honor. We submitted it to the clerk. According to Ms. Hernandez, I believe the staff attorney was supposed to sign it and return it. We have not received it back. So this was an effort to either we'll get the court to sign it and return it, which just hasn't been returned yet, or we'd have the court. But ultimately, we've been trying on every front to get a hold of an executed passport paper, Judge.
Okay, but certainly we can handle that tomorrow if that's not handled.
Excellent, Your Honor.
Today. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
Good day.